Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, as you know, every Wednesday I run a Hump Day giveaway over on my Twitter page at Brodes81. At the top of my profile, there is a pinned tweet. This week, we're giving away a beautiful Phillies book bag. It is magnificent, so make sure you do that. Also, if you're new, subscribe to the channel. We break down all Phillies games, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, you name it, Philadelphia sports content all day long. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that like button. And also comment down below your thoughts. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. There you have it. Devonta Smith is a Philadelphia Eagle. And I was getting a lot of backlash because over the last couple of weeks, I said, give Howie Roseman a chance. He's got 2 years, 20 draft picks. Now, this is one pick. That's all it is one pick. But I think you saw a different motor. I think you saw a different focus level involved with the Philadelphia Eagles front office. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman. You got a bunch of guys, the scouting department as well, with Weidl involved. Like, I think you got everyone in the mix. By the way, I hear Weidl every single time. It's something else that I hear. So, whatever. It is what it is. Here's my point. When it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, it does seem like the draft board is a heavy, heavy focus. Let's not lose track on what we are trying to accomplish here. And there's no way that you can trash their decision. There's no way that you can mock them for what they did. They went out and they got an absolute stud at the wide receiver position. It's not great that 2 years ago you drafted J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the second round. And there's already been so many damn reports about the impact of the ownership and Jeffrey Lurie forcing that pick upon the franchise. You picked Jalen Reagor last year, and I like Jalen Reagor, and I think you're totally going to see a whole different side of Jalen Reagor this season than we did last year. When you throw Devonta Smith in the mix as well, that's going to help open up what this offense can deliver. And Nick Sirianni's entire new philosophy that nobody has true tape on, that was a problem with Doug Peterson. I think the league caught up to him. We saw the same thing happen to Chip Kelly. It was a very gimmicky offense. Doug Peterson, not as much gimmicky, but what ended up happening was he never changed. It was Doug Peterson's offense, and that's it. And other teams found ways to somewhat dissect what he was going to do. And before you knew it, it was very vanilla. It was very simple. It was very bland. And other teams knew exactly what was going to be ran. I mean, you heard stories about other teams literally knowing what play was going to happen. They sniffed it out easily because there was no change. There was no versatility. Doug Peterson was not adapting years after dialing up an offense. To think at the NFL level, other coaches aren't going to be heavily involved in finding out a way to study your craft, to study your scheme, to study your trends. Well, that's laughable, Doug. Come on. So the new style of play out of Nick Sirianni's offense and adding Devonta Smith next to Jalen Reagor, and it's not even just next, it's all around, right? So after the picks, you were thrown into a nice little press conference on Eagles Twitter, and they were discussing what was going to be a role for Devonta Smith. How do you see Devonta Smith? And when you look at what Andy said, he essentially went down the road of he'll contest, right? Contested footballs. He can go up and catch. Wow, are you kidding me? You're telling me that it's actually possible on a one-on-one matchup to go make a play for more than 4 weeks? I only saw it out of Travis Fulgham for literally 4 weeks, and then after that, we never saw it again last season. So I'm stunned. I'm shocked. I'm surprised that that's something that they were actually looking for. He did also mention a gunner and a punt returner as well, things that he's done in the past, just showing his versatility. I thought that was pretty interesting and stood out to me. But Nick Sirianni's comments were the most important, I guess, when it comes to, what he's going to be. And it was, you can move him around. He's going to play all sorts of different positions. You can put him in the slot. You can put him at the X. You can put him all over the place. You can put him in so many different scenarios. And then John McMullen of Sports Illustrated, he kind of went further with the discussion and talked about how, well, some of these guys, at least this is the way I interpreted it, it was almost as if Nick Sirianni took it into a whole nother conversation and answered the question that, in a way that didn't make sense to what the question was actually was, if that makes sense. You get my point. But the way I heard it was something along the lines of, not everybody is versatile. Not everybody can play every single position out there. as an offense, right? Like Greg Ward, for example. My man is a slot receiver. To act as if he's going to be able to play every single position out there and he's going to excel at it and he's going to succeed at it, well, that's silly. Some guys have a role. Some guys are molded to play a certain position. Some guys are only good at certain things out there on the field. Don't force something that's not there. And Nick Sirianni's response was pretty much, that's not in my philosophy. Flexibility is very huge, and we are going to have players play a lot of different spots out there on the field, and you're going to be interchangeable, and you're going to be in a lot of different circumstances, and you're going to be involved in different schemes and different positions. And it raises my eyebrows a little bit. That's all. I'm not against it when it comes to a player like Devonta Smith. I'm not against it for Jalen Reagor showing some versatility. I think I might be against it when it's Greg Ward. I think I might be against it when it's some other players out there that realistically have a bar on their capacity and what they can be. But we'll see. We'll see how Nick Sirianni dives into this bad boy. It'll be very interesting. You know what's funny, though? As we start talking about how the move was actually made and the maneuver from Howie Roseman, we date back to that last game of the season and how the Eagles tanked and it was horrendous and it was such a bad look for the game. And I knew it was. I hated the way it went down, but I knew it was best for the franchise. You were able to make the moves that you made. You went from 6 down to 12. You acquired an extra first-round pick. You went from 12 to 10 by moving a third-round pick. That's phenomenal maneuvering out of the general manager. You have to give praise to Howie Roseman for that type of movement. That is fantastic movement. That is utilizing the phones, moving up the board, being smart. I loved how it played out from that aspect for sure. You know what's funny as well? You thought about Jamar Chase. Oh, we wanted Jamar Chase at 6. Oh, we wanted Kyle Pitts at 6. Didn't work out that way. Jamar Chase goes to the Bengals. Kyle Pitts goes to the Atlanta Falcons. And from there, it's actually crazy. I credit them for calling up the Dallas Cowboys to make that trade. Horn was not available. Surtain was not available. Waddle was not available. So essentially, if you didn't move up, when you notice that the New York Giants, after making that trade with the Chicago Bears, and they acquired around the 20th pick or so, when they picked a wide receiver, that was the telling moment that you had to jump the New York Giants because they would have absolutely taken Devonta Smith in that spot. Did the Cowboys want him? It doesn't really matter, to be honest with me. It doesn't matter to me if they were thinking him or not. They clearly were not thinking him. That's inevitable. That's obvious as hell. If you have half a brain, when you look at the roster of the Cowboys, they were looking in another direction. So whether they held the cards or not, or Howie trading with the Cowboys, it doesn't matter. It was a good move. I think both teams actually made it work for themselves. Parsons going to the Cowboys, it makes perfect sense. They value that. You look at what they have in Van Der Esch. You look at the debacle of Sean Lee just with injuries and where his career has taken him to this point. You acquire someone like Parsons, and Parsons going to be a stud. I don't like the fact that we're going to have to see him 2 times a year because he is going to play a role in that defense. He's going to stack the box. He's going to be all over the map, and you mesh him together with Van Der Esch, they're going to be scary. They're going to have speed. They're going to collapse on you. They're going to make you feel uncomfortable. They're going to be able to bring pressure. They're going to be able to drop back. There's going to be a lot in play with what they can do with a player like Parsons, for sure. Go get your guy, though. What the interesting thing is also is lots of interesting things, apparently. But inside the Birds, Jeff Mosher, Adam Kaplan, I produced their shows, and I was talking to them, and I was listening to them a bit. And the Eagles tried to make a trade for 8 to go up to the Carolina Panthers spot, but they were asking for too much. They tried to go to Denver, and they could not make a move for Denver, who picked up Surtain. But if they did go there, from what I'm hearing, Devonta Smith and Surtain were pretty much in the same exact spot in terms of the draft board. It would have been, hey, one or the other. It could have been a flip of the coin situation. Do we get maybe our franchise cornerback, or do we go down the path of maybe landing our franchise wide receiver? So it would have been fascinating to see if they went to 9 when both were available, what they would have chose. I would have been okay with both. I said entering the night, you give me Devonta Smith, you give me Jalen Waddle. If you give me Horn or you give me Surtain to give me my outside corner. I'm okay with any of those options. Hell, I would have even been okay with Justin Fields. Here's the thing you could have gotten at 6, though. If you're an offensive lineman type of guy, and I am. I love the offensive line. It's not sexy. It's not great. It's not magnificent to the eye, but it's so valuable and it's so important. If you picked Sewell at 6, he would have been available because the Cincinnati Bengals moved over him. Are they ready for that right now? Not necessarily. I think that there's other holes that they needed to fulfill before they go with the offensive line. But there's a reason why this franchise consistently has great offensive line play. Because they value it, because they look for it, because they get value when they see it on the draft boards. They do such a fantastic job going out and grabbing those players. But with Jordan Mailata and the left tackle battle in training camp, that's going to be at the top of my list for sure. But let's just say, hypothetically, it's Jordan Mailata, and then you have your center and Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks right guard, Lane Johnson right tackle. There is a concern of mine that they're not going to be able to stay upright all season long. Sure, you can listen to Lane Johnson talk about where he is after the surgery with the ankle and scraping stuff out. Who knows, though? These guys are getting past the 30 part in their careers, and when that happens, the downfall occurs. So at any given moment, these guys can get injured once again. Do they need an offensive lineman right now? This very instant? No, they do not. They don't. I just think that this team is so strong in that area for decades because they put an emphasis on it, and maybe they make that player part of their franchise before it's actually needed, and that's how they continue to groom this with Stoutland and what they do with that culture set at the offensive line position. I'm very fascinated to see, though, Devonta Smith, Jalen Reagor, Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, Dallas Goedert. Zach Ertz is still being flirted around, I guess. We haven't heard much on that front. Miles Sanders. They brought back Jordan Howard and Jalen Hurts. This is something that I'm curious how the explosion is going to look, how the stretching of the field is going to look. We touched on what Nick Sirianni liked out of the yak department. What I heard him say that made me excited was the fact that you could put the ball in his hands early, right? They were talking about a lot of crossing routes, and the way I said right like that, it almost sounded like Nick Sirianni. I think I'm listening to the guy speak so much that I'm starting to speak like him, and I really hope that's not the case because I don't love it. I don't love it at all. Even though I know I'm a high-energy guy, it's a little different. Saying right. That's so Nick Sirianni. You put the ball in his hands and allow him to work in space. Let your legs move for you. Let your legs be one of your greatest weapons. It's not just about beating a defender one-on-one at a cornerback at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes it's about, hey, you're just 4 or 5 yards out. Get it out of Jalen Hurts' hands. Quick step back at the quarterback position. Bang, out quickly, release it quick, hit Devonta Smith in stride, allow his legs to do the damage, to do the work for him. That's something that we really didn't see. How many times did we talk about that with Jalen Reagor? When he would do it, he would use Alshon Jeffrey in years past. When Doug Peterson would try a wide receiver screen, and I'm not even talking about specifically wide receiver screens where they throw it to Alshon down the left sideline. He runs for 5 yards, and then you get another 2nd and 5 opportunity or so. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you get 3-4 yards on first down on a wide receiver screen to Alshon Jeffrey, there's nothing wrong with that play. Now let's try something with Jalen Reagor. Now let's try something with John Hightower, Quez Watkins. Those are another players, a set of players that have a ton of speed, still raw, still a lot to learn, but you could put the ball in their hands and just let them fly and let them do the work with the rock in their possession as it is. There wasn't enough of that as of late, and that's why I always stressed, if you had Reagor and Sean McVay, I guarantee you that Sean McVay's offense would have him in rhythm, have him with more yards, and just the threat of Devonta Smith is very important for that to open up as well. 166 pounds. Does that scare me? No, it does not scare me. You can always put some muscle on. You can always beef up, and I don't think that would necessarily ruin who Devonta Smith is. He did talk about a bit, though, how he's not worried about the size because he played in the SEC. And with all due respect, here I am taking a shot at Devonta Smith, and maybe this is just a flaw on my opinions and whatnot and the way that my brain works. But when I hear him talk about the SEC, and I played up against guys in the SEC that were bigger than me, and this is the best conference in the country, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's a lot of power in that conference. That's not the NFL, though. And that doesn't mean I'm discrediting your play. I think you are a phenomenal wide receiver. I think you're going to show me some phenomenal moves with your footwork, with your explosiveness. You're going to beat guys in the NFL. I think you're that talented. But to say the SEC is something that you played in, so that means, well, I'll be fine in the NFL. Well, I mean, that's not necessarily the case here. I don't see the correlation there. I do think he's going to be a stud, though, and it's the guy that you're kind of looking for, right? It's the player, the franchise player that you were looking at. Go get your guy. Go make that happen. So when you saw the Giants trade down after the 11th, this is just a hypothetical. I don't think I would do it. I just find it very, interesting to kind of spitball these ideas in your brain. And I was at a place with my buddies. We were just sitting there relaxing, watching the draft together, of course. And would you have traded for another extra first-round pick back to where the Giants selected? And I would say no. So essentially, you're at 12. You make a move with the Chicago Bears so they can get their quarterback in Justin Fields. You trade down and you get in that 20 area, but you get another first-round pick. So then next year, you even have more. You stockpile more. You would draft in the 20th spot this season. You would have, 3 first-round possible picks next year, plus the second-rounders in play. I don't think so. At some point, while I enjoy stockpiling, and I think where you're at with a ton of holes, it would be extremely important to your franchise, I also think you can get your player too. So getting your extra first-round pick by moving back to 12 before going up to 10 and using that third-round pick, you got your extra first and you got Devonta Smith. That's incredible. And that's why at the time when everyone hated the move down, why would you move out of 6? Just go get Jamar Chase. Well, first off, he wouldn't even been there anyway, and you would have gotten, let's be realistic. You could have went cornerback. Both corners were available. Jalen Waddle was available because Miami was the team that selected him 6th overall. So that would have happened. But let's say they would have gotten Devonta Smith at 6. Now, that's something that was very, very possible, right? That's not outrageous. That's not insane. That's not out there. That's not in outer space. That is a very realistic pick. If the Miami Dolphins selected Devonta Smith at 6, nobody's freaking out. No one's talking about an overreach. Nobody thinking that is so asinine. So, Devonta Smith could have been a play at 6. You just gained an extra first-round pick. Calm down. Calm down. That's what I was stressing. Not that I felt amazing about Howie Roseman, this front office. I didn't. But I knew that they had this draft to work with. And I felt that there was obvious pressure. The intensity of this fan base, to Jeffrey Lurie, to everyone involved, the athletic piece. There's so much scrutiny looking down, not just the media here in Philadelphia, but the national media as well. What is happening with this franchise? I thought that there would be this different sense of urgency, this different focus level, and then the reports. Rob Motti does a great job with the Associated Press, and I also work with him at 97.5 The Fanatic. He put out there that there's a belief that Howie Roseman's seat is way warmer than ever anticipated. We thought it was possible that he was stuck in Philadelphia forever, and that leash was extremely long. Well, if he didn't get back on track to start at least, look, this is a work in progress. You don't just draft this year and everything works perfectly and you're ready to rock and you're insane again. As long as you see steps in the right direction, you got to see proper progress. Instead of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and a Jalen Reagor, who I'm not out on, you need to see Devonta Smith expectancy type of play where he's going to take over the offense. He's going to be dynamic. He's going to be a game changer. He can go get the football. You can trust him on one-on-one situations to utilize his body, separate himself when he needs to against the corner the proper way, go up and high put it and put it down in his possession. We haven't seen that in quite some time, it seemed like. That is important. And if you see that and the team still isn't winning a lot of football games because there's other holes, well, then fine. It's about the draft and the draft class and what you see with the steps moving forward. And then from there, you have next year. I said just relax. There has been good picks. Howie messes it up every time. Well, yeah, maybe because of Jeffrey Lurie's influence. Not only that, that's not necessarily 100% always the truth. Miles Sanders was a good pick. Dallas Goedert was a good pick. there has been some good picks over the last few drafts. Not enough. But the narrative was there hasn't been any. There has been some. Avonte Maddox in the 4th round, you put him in a position to fail consistently. If he can go back into his comfort zone, which is that inside slot area, that's a totally different beast. And then in the 4th round, you can get a guy like Avonte Maddox. I mean, I think his confidence was shot. I think you were forcing him to play in a scenario where he was going to get beat his size, going up against receivers that are way taller. Dude, go fail, essentially, is what you did because the roster was so flawed. Maybe there is more in Avonte Maddox. Roby Coleman was so embarrassing last year. Give him a clean slate. I don't know where he is mentally, though. You got to be able to have that on and off switch and that put that play right behind me type of mentality at the corner. Is he already so beaten down from what happened last year? I guess it's very possible. It's very, it's very true that it can play out that way. We'll see, though. I love the move. And I also love DraftKings. For some, the NFL Draft is the most exciting day of the season. For others, it is a chance to build on last year's success. Whether your team has the first pick or the last, DraftKings is bringing the excitement to you. DraftKings, the leader in daily fantasy sports, is adding to the thrill by offering a free-to-enter draft pool this Thursday with $50,000 up for grabs. DraftKings free-to-play pools are easy to play. Just download the DraftKings app, go to pools, and choose from a wide variety of free contests for an opportunity to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings app now and use promo code Brodes to enter the free draft pool with $50,000 in prizes up for grabs. That's promo code Brodes to get a free shot at $50,000 in total prizes only at DraftKings. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Here's one thing that I hated throughout the draft night before we hop into the Anytime Hotline calls to hear your reaction. Where's my mouse? Here's my mouse. The fact that all these reporters tweet 5 minutes before it shows up on TV, we had a rule. Put your damn phone away. Put your phone on silent. Don't answer the group chat. Don't look at Twitter. Don't look at Adam Schefter. Don't look at any of that nonsense. Allow the product to show on the TV screen. Let's watch the draft for the draft. If you're seeing the pick is in and you already know for 3 minutes who it is, it ruins everything. And I hate that. And I understand that's where the Twitter world is and everyone needs to be first, this and that. That's garbage, though. Put it away. Enjoy the draft for the beauty of the draft. Let your heart race when your team is up. Gasp when there's a trade that happens. I don't know. I just don't understand being the guy or the woman that's scrolling on Twitter nonstop to see when Adam Schefter, his Twitter page refreshes, and then you see exactly what's going to happen before it actually happens. It ruins what the draft is all about. I want to see the element of surprise, And speaking of surprise, are there going to be many surprises here on the Anytime Hotline? I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of reaction of excitement. That's my guess. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, but let's kick it off.
Thank fucking shit that didn't go fucking wrong. This might be the one good thing that comes out of this year is that we get a stud wide receiver. I just hope we don't ruin him with this goofy coaching staff. Oh my God, it just feels good that the Eagles did something right for the first time in a long time. I don't necessarily want Howie Roseman to stay here, but if they have a semi-successful season, he probably will. I don't care, man. I just want to get watchable football again. Jesus Christ.
I agree with you. Last year was so brutal, you couldn't watch. I need football that there's some juice surrounding the team. There's some excitement surrounding the team. Because it's so new and it's so fresh, there's a level of, hey, what do we have here? Let's see what we have here. Show me something, coach. And real quickly on Nick Sirianni, because I have shredded him before, and I think it's valid to shred him based off of what we've seen. Knowing that the only thing that matters is winning football games, right? You can divide the two. Nick, you're crazy, and you're out there, and it's weird, and it's not normal, right? That doesn't mean this won't work, but it's strange. And knowing where the franchise is, to see this as your coach, surprise, this is what wowed us, we should feel a little concerned by that. Knowing, though, just go win football games and everything is fixed. This is my opinion before football games, and my opinions will probably change after football games, after I hear him speak, after I hear him defend some of his selections, some of his play calls, some of his thoughts and opinions. Sure, I will change my mind on him, and that's okay. You mentioned hopefully this coaching staff doesn't mess it up. Yeah, of course. I hope it doesn't either. He's weird and out there, and I don't know how that resonates with a locker room of 50 plus men, and you got to rally the troops when you are bizarre and you're so caffeine rushed 24/7. But, we'll see how it plays out for sure. In terms of Howie, you brought up Howie. You don't want him here necessarily. If he does well, then that's only good. Like, this is what bothers me. Why root for Howie? And I'm not saying you're doing this. This is a lot of Eagles fan base, though. Let Howie fail so he can get fired. If he's doing well and you're seeing success and you're seeing progress and you're getting more picks like Miles Sanders and Dallas Goedert instead of the J.J. Arcega-Whitesides, well, don't you want that? And if that ultimately means that Howie Roseman is going to stay, who cares? All you care about is seeing the organization move back into the right direction. If Howie is the one that helps you do that, who cares? Who cares who does it? The only thing that matters is making it happen. The only thing that matters is it actually occurring. The execution actually works. That's what matters. Who gives a shit who the GM is if it's working, if it's progress? And that's my mentality on things with Howie Roseman, He's going to have this opportunity. Let's pray he does the right thing with it. Let's not pray he does the wrong thing with it so he's fired, and then you have to find a guy, trust a guy, see if the guy works. If he does, great. If he doesn't, you're starting all over again and trying a whole nother new guy instead of having a guy in place that has done it in the past, hasn't done it recently. Let's see if he can get back on track and stick to his draft board, stick to his guns, and knowing that there's so much pressure on him, there is a different determination level, it feels, with Howie, and we'll see if that continues throughout the rest of the draft, which you still got some second-round picks, you got some third-round picks, you got in play here. You got things in play for sure.
Howie Roseman has balls of steel for making that trade. Trading with a division rival like that is going to get some slander from dumb Eagles fans. And, there's people that are never going to like Howie Roseman, and they'll never give him credit, and that's dumb. Because this trade-up tells me two things. One, he really has to like Devonta Smith to trade with a division rival to go get him. He really has to like him. They hopscotched the Giants, so it's good that they didn't get him. And also it tells me about Justin Fields that they probably didn't like him as much. I had a heart attack thinking they were going to take Justin Fields or Mac Jones. It was horrible. Devonta Smith, he's going to be a stud. It's just a really nice trade. The third-round pick, look. Third-round picks have value, but it's not an end-all, be-all, or a trade.
It's definitely not. When you look at the third, when we saw the trade pop up and we didn't know what it was yet and it just said the pick is in, we were shooting the shit, and I asked my buddies, like, you don't think it's a second, right? Because if it was a second, if they went first and second to move up 2 spots for Devonta Smith, I truly think I would have a different outlook on this. I would still love the player, and at the end of the day, you get your guy that you believe in. So I'm not saying I would hate having Devonta Smith, but I think I would look at this definitely different in terms of, the value and all. A third, dude, go ahead. Have at it, bro. Have that third. Sure, you can get something in the third, but there's a huge difference between a second and a third. And knowing that it's a first-round jump up, 2 spots is 2 spots in the first round. You can definitely milk a lot more out of teams. So knowing that, I was pretty surprised. I'm pleasantly surprised that it was a third. It could have been more. I think it honestly could have been more, knowing how valuable the first-round picks are, moving up 2 slots, and knowing the Dallas Cowboys had the cards in their hands. You want to trade with us? All right. You want to trade with us. We know where New York's going. We know that they're going wide receiver. They're going offensive player. You want to trade with us? To see a third, yeah, I think that was perfect. Howie Roseman, like it or not, to this point, end of the first round, savvy, veteran-like moves. I'm talking the full package. Trading from 6 to 12, getting that first-round pick. All right? Also having the Wentz deal in play as well. You just look at what you've stockpiled. Moving a third to get back up. You went from 6 to 12, 12 to 10, gained the first, moved a third. That's savvy. That's savvy. I've questioned their savviness in the past. There were times where it has struggled and it hasn't shown, where it was almost you don't have any at all. Excuse me. That was a random hiccup. We'll move forward. I think it's that water. I barely drink water. It's always caffeine with coffee, sodas. It's bad. Anyway. Totally lost my train of thought. That damn hiccup just threw me in for a spiral. Yes, savvy. like, this is legitimate moves made by your general manager that you need to tip the cap. You know, it was a pleasant surprise with everything from making that trade. I'll never forget it. I was shopping in Center City, right? I went for a day for myself to somewhat self-reflect. I went into the city. I was going shopping, hitting a bunch of stores, and the news hit me that the Eagles made a trade and they moved from 6 to 12. And I'm, come on my off day, on my relaxation day, on my day for me where I'm enjoying myself, I'm got my AirPods in, I'm just listening to music, I'm able to get some fresh air and somewhat just regroup a little bit and just think about some things, whatever. It was my day. And that happened. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? I needed this, that's it. I liked the move. I thought it was good. When you see it all now, though, play out the way that it did in that first round, strong is the way to define it. It was strong, all of it, very strong.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby. After 2 cornerbacks were gone, one guy we wanted, one playmaker, one guy who's going to sell tickets, who's going to be part of the franchise for a long time. Surprised you made a trade with the Cowboys. 3rd round pick, that's not bad. But let's go, baby. Howie got one right. He didn't make me pull my hair out. He didn't make me hate the Eagles even more at the moment. I'm excited, man. The Fields and Smith connection, let's go, baby.
Yeah, there is something to be said about that dynamic and their relationship and how they balled together in the past. That's absolutely 100% true, that there is a connection there that only makes this even more exciting. I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. But could you imagine if he ends up being a bust somehow, some way, right? This is a very strange hypothetical. There's no reason that my brain should be doing this, but I'm wired a little bit differently. Could you imagine, though, if he ended up becoming a bust and everyone hated Howie Roseman? This is all we can assess it on, right? It goes right back to Nick Sirianni. We haven't seen him play yet. All we can do is assess this. Right now, we're jumping up in joy and this is the best. Howie did it right. Howie phenomenal. A+, amazing. And I think that that's fair. Just like I think it's fair to bash Nick Sirianni for the way that he addresses the media and the way that he's all hyper. It seems very unprofessional to me. With Devonta Smith, if he ends up sugging, oh, Howie, how dare you? How can you miss on this guy? Come on, you missed on this guy. How can you not see it? How can the scouting department screw this one up? How can he be this pathetic? You should have been afraid of the 166, the 166 pounds that told you everything. Well, now it's how can you shy away from 166 when you see him win the Heisman, when you see how many explosive plays that he made? I think it's like there's a part of me that believes, as much as in a fake way. Once again, this is hypothetical. This is my half of the brain that doesn't make sense and is a little wonky and bizarre and weird. Is it possible that Howie did this and the front office did this, so if it does backfire and it doesn't work, hands are up? Well, what do you mean? I drafted Devonta Smith. You guys told me to draft Devonta Smith. Not actually, but theoretically. You guys were screaming for Devonta Smith. What do you want me to do? I picked the guy you guys wanted. If it doesn't work, what do you want me to do? I picked the guy that you guys wanted. You can't put the blame back on me. Is there any sort of that in the works? I don't think so, of course. I'm just somewhat being facetious here, having some fun with it, but you never know. I guess with this franchise, everything needs to be on the table, right?
First off, I just want to say that if we didn't trade down from the 6th pick to from the 12th pick, we could have drafted Penei Sewell. But that being said, I am so fucking happy that we traded up with the Cowboys to get Devonta Smith. For a moment there, I thought Howie was going to draft Justin Fields because that's a typical Howie thing he would have done. But for once, he actually did the right thing, traded up, and drafted the player that we needed for once.
For once. I love that. With all due respect here, right? For once. Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, Carson Wentz. When he made those trade-ups for Carson Wentz, that was savvy. That was a veteran GM move. Now, ultimately, we saw the downfall, and we saw the reaction afterwards, and we see where it has become. But let's not act as if going out and getting Howie Roseman wasn't very strong and an important piece to going to win a Super Bowl. I just can't get behind the for once. I can get behind the as of late, maybe it hasn't been the smoothest that it could have been. For once, though, that is crazy. It is also crazy to think that they picked Rager last year, and now they're going back-to-back with those wide receivers with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Real quick, though, on that Carson Wentz drama, right? How about Aaron Rodgers? When I saw that report fly up on my phone notifications, I was taken back a bit. Here's what's funny to me, though. Aaron Rodgers unhappy with how the front office handled him and did not support him enough, so he gets angry and wants to leave. So it's okay for Aaron Rodgers. It's not okay for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is apparently something that starts with a P that I would love to say. All right, we won't do that. We won't do that. I like to throw F-bombs out there. I like to mix in some cursing because that is who I am. I am definitely a potty mouth. If you know me, I'm flying words all around. I'm in Target. I don't realize I say it. Yeah, I'm definitely that way for sure. I won't do that, though. But many looked at Carson Wentz as a word that starts with a P, very soft, can't handle it. Aaron Rodgers doesn't love the way that they approach Love. He ends up getting a backup quarterback instead of a receiver. He wants to leave. Gone. Out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. So it's okay for Aaron Rodgers to do that, not okay for Carson Wentz. I've heard the counter. This is the counter. He stuck it out for a while. So he didn't like it with Mike McCarthy. He stayed. He grinded. He battled. And then eventually enough was enough. Fine. But to be fair, the dysfunction in that organization compared to the Eagles' dysfunction, I think where the Eagles were can push you to that bridge or push you to that rock fall. What's the word? That cliff? The rock fall. What the hell is a rock fall? Where the Eagles were, it could push you towards that cliff faster than where the Green Bay Packers were. I just find it funny how one is viewed compared to the other. That's all. Here's what I know, though. Fun night. I had a fun night watching the draft. I'm excited for the next couple rounds to see how the Eagles build off of this because the trajectory, it's nice. It's a very good starting point, and I'm very proud of where the Eagles are. Before I head out of here, though, look, my friends over at DeSimone Jewelers, they're the best in the business. My fiance's engagement ring, I got it there. I got her a necklace for Christmas, earrings, you name it. I go there all the time. Family like business. You walk in, yo, Brodes, what do you think about Nick Sirianni? What do you think about Devonta Smith? It's great. It really is. They're phenomenal. Family-owned business with over 40 years of experience. Moved from Jewelers Row, now in Haddonfield, New Jersey. They don't use sale tactics. They sit you down and they treat you like family. Not customers, family. Manufacture and customize every ring right there. Because of that, they're able to beat out all competitors' prices. I've sent so many family members in their direction. I get the same reaction. Brodes, they're amazing. You're amazing too. Stop, I'm blushing. Check out their information. It's all down below. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.